Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this roundtable on policy solutions for family farming, in direct continuation of the very interesting roundtable we had in the morning session. This one is focusing on increasing resilience. Today we will explore the critical role of innovative policy approaches in strengthening family farming and driving climate resilience within our global food systems. From sharing local knowledge to preserving biodiversity, family farmers are on the front line of climate adaptation and sustainable agriculture. Policies that effectively support them can unlock their full potential and generate greater impact. My name is Morten Hartwiesen. I'm Land Tenure Officer in the FAO Regional Office for Europe and Central Asia, based in Budapest in Hungary. And I'm honored to moderate this discussion today in the afternoon. And I'm pleased to introduce the first member of this roundtable, and that is Mr. Rafael Lopez. Rafael is the Director of the Geographic, Strategic and Risk Management Information at the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Food in Guatemala. Rafael, could you please share with us Guatemala's experience in promoting innovative approaches for better policies that support the resilience of family farmers? The floor is yours, and please keep it to 6 minutes.
Muchas gracias, buenas tardes a todos. Quiero presentar algunas cosas que son avances de nuestro Ministerio de Agricultura, Ganadería y Alimentación de Guatemala, que se puede mencionar que lo hemos utilizado como innovación tecnológica para nuestro país. La agricultura familiar, estamos nosotros conscientes de que prácticamente es el apoyar a esos grandes productores que producen en pequeñas extensiones de tierra. Por eso, digamos que la innovación tecnológica también no tiene que limitarse solamente a temas grandes, sino también a los agricultores hay que ayudarlos con tecnología. Por eso les voy a mostrar a continuación 4 ejes que nosotros utilizamos. Hablando de los objetivos del desarrollo sostenible, por ejemplo, atendemos nosotros algunos de estos indicadores y principalmente estamos utilizando 4 dinámicas. Número 1, los sistemas de información geográfica, que son vitales como herramienta, en la cual podríamos pensar que los agricultores no pueden utilizar estas herramientas, pero es que somos nosotros los que tenemos que enseñarles. La cobertura vegetal y uso de la tierra, que para nosotros en Guatemala es nuestro inventario nacional de cultivos. Así como conocemos nuestro país, tenemos que hacer un inventario y conocer cultivo por cultivo cuánto se produce, cuánto es el territorio agrícola del país, y de esa manera tenemos información precisa para ellos. La temática de los suelos. Actualmente nosotros tenemos la vicepresidencia de la Alianza Latinoamericana de los Suelos. Guatemala es la vicepresidenta y Chile es el país presidente. Y estamos impulsando el tema de la temática de los suelos. No podemos seguir planificando si no empezamos desde el suelo. Por eso es que es muy importante juntar estas bases de datos que estoy mencionando para poder darle a los agricultores información nueva. Y no está de menos. La resiliencia es algo relevante y por eso la gestión de riesgos es vital. Esos son los 4 temas que nosotros desarrollamos desde la dirección que tengo a cargo, en la cual tenemos el trabajo no solo de capacitar al personal del Ministerio de Agricultura, sino al sistema de extensión que tenemos en todo el país y principalmente el propósito es llegar al agricultor. ¿Cómo lo hemos hecho? Acá tenemos una vinculación de información que hacemos, una vinculación de información en nuestro sistema de información geográfica, la cobertura vegetal y uso de la tierra que he mencionado, y los suelos. Tenemos un centro de información estratégica agropecuaria, que fue un regalo del gobierno de los Estados Unidos, donde procesamos información técnica. Y quiero mencionar en este asunto 2 aspectos que estamos trabajando con FAO. El sistema de índice de estrés vegetal agrícola, en el cual tenemos la oportunidad a través de imágenes satelitales medir el estrés vegetal antes de que ocurra. De esa manera podemos mostrar a través de información los riesgos que pueden existir en los territorios. En Guatemala recientemente estamos teniendo un problema, yo creo que Centroamérica también. La sequía agrícola está existiendo. La sequía es una enfermedad silenciosa que no se ve, pero sí se siente. Pero para eso necesitamos producir datos que demuestren también las pérdidas que ocurren para marcar la sensibilidad, no solo en los agricultores, sino también en las autoridades, para ver cómo apoyar. Tenemos el manejo de la plataforma GADAS, que es un sistema de información geográfica de alta tecnología que tiene el gobierno de Estados Unidos. Y a través de esto miramos desde los ojos de Estados Unidos también satelitalmente a nuestro país. Tenemos la herramienta SARC, que es una herramienta que estamos haciendo con FAO para hacer la zonificación agrícola de riesgo por el tema de la sequía que hemos mencionado. Pero cuando hablo de sequía estoy hablando de los sistemas de zonificación agrícola. En Centroamérica tenemos lo que le llamamos el corredor seco centroamericano, aunque corredor seco empezó en Guatemala como un nombre mediático, pero cuando vemos el análisis a través del procesamiento de información, tenemos zonas semiáridas del país y hay un déficit hídrico muy latente. Entonces, toda esa información parece muy técnica, pero hay que traducirla a los agricultores. Mesas técnicas agroclimáticas hemos utilizado en la región, en Centroamérica. Guatemala ha tenido la vanguardia en nuestro país. Estamos desarrollando 21 mesas en las cuales, después que tenemos el pronóstico del clima, del Foro Climático Centroamericano, hacemos un análisis, mezclamos toda la información que hemos mencionado y la convertimos en datos que pueden servirle a los agricultores. Acá pueden ustedes observar una evolución desde el año 2020, gracias a la pandemia mundial. De lo malo, lo bueno, es que nos permitió ahora meter tecnología también en nuestras comunicaciones. Pero poco a poco hemos ido desarrollando el mejorar la predicción agroclimática, agrometeorológica, para poder dar alertas de manera anticipada. En acciones anticipatorias, gracias al apoyo de FAO, hemos observado que podemos generar acciones antes de que ocurran los eventos, durante el evento y después de un evento, de un fenómeno agroclimático. Entonces, hemos tenido la tendencia de ser muy reactivos, pero es importante también ser preventivos. Y eso es lo que hemos estado generando a través de generar alertas, establecer información y capacitar al personal no solo del ministerio, como lo he mencionado, sino a los agricultores en términos generales también. Acá pueden ustedes observar en detalle lo que he mencionado de esa herramienta que hemos generado de ASIS, en la cual, pues, utilizando datos satelitales a cada 10 días, podemos hacer la vigilancia temprana de la sequía agrícola, facilitar la toma de decisiones orientadas a mitigar los impactos sobre la seguridad alimentaria y la producción de los cultivos. Y esto lo generamos y utilizamos comparándolo con la información de GADAS que he mencionado, que es esta plataforma de Estados Unidos. Y por último, a través del proyecto SARC, ese SARC es zonificación agrícola del riesgo climático, mezclamos una aplicación en la cual generamos datos edáficos, estoy hablando de suelo, junto con la parte climática también. No basta solo con decirle al agricultor que siembre cuando está húmedo, hay que darle herramientas que le puedan servir para saber el día exacto de cuándo lo puede hacer. Por eso es que hemos estado generando esta información a través de un proyecto piloto que era de 10 municipios que FAO nos presentó y nos funciona muy bien, ya lo hemos comprobado. Por eso ahora hemos tomado la responsabilidad como ministerio de replicar este proyecto a los 340 municipios del país. Y eso es lo que estamos generando para aumentar la capacidad de respuesta en cuanto a esto. Repito, la agricultura familiar es importante, pero es importante no limitar de la agricultura digital a los agricultores. Los agricultores tienen que llevar la tecnología también, así que tenemos que llevar la tecnología al campo a través de estas herramientas y a través de la difusión. Ahí ven ustedes en la lámina las mesas técnicas agroclimáticas a nivel nacional han tenido un buen efecto. Hemos generado una red de 1.582 técnicos que salen de los mismos agricultores, que reciben información y también nos ayudan cuando tenemos un evento climático en el cual tenemos que intercambiar datos a nivel nacional. Este es un resumen que puedo presentar como Ministerio de Agricultura de Guatemala en estos pocos minutos que tuve. Muchas gracias por la atención.
Thank you very much, Rafael, for your insight and contribution on Guatemala's efforts to support family farmers in addressing environmental and climate challenges. And I think it was in particular interesting to see here how you mentioned the importance of technology and innovation and making this data on climate, on soil, making it available for also for the family farmers. and I hope finding ways to also adapt to the technology that small farms can use. So thanks for this. Let me now turn to Andrea Ferrante from Scuola Campesina in Italy. And Andrea, considering your extensive experience and strong engagement in promoting agroecology, could you share your views on innovative policy solutions to strengthen the role of agroecology and family farming and family farmers in addressing environmental and climate challenges? 6 minutes also from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation. And indeed, let's start from what we heard this morning. We are talking about resilience. The HLP report that we heard this morning is giving us a lot of solutions. It's giving us a way forward, and agroecology is at the center of this way forward. And in agroecology, at the center, there are the family farmers and their allies. So all these are linked. But I want to introduce here on the fact that it is clear that we need to have a right-based approach, because this is the basis of everything. If we don't have the rights to land, the right to water, the right of our seeds, all those things, all those policies are impossible to put in practice. And we have so many framework documents like the UN Declaration on Peasant Rights, UN Declaration on Indigenous People, the Right to Food guidelines. We have everything. We need implementation. And we need implementation also with the new actors that today, most probably, are the most innovators, that are local authorities. So in agroecology, for us, is a principle, central principle, territorial approach. We don't work at farm level. We work in territories. And territories are made of us, but indeed have a central role, the local institution, that, by the way, are the ones that are more near all of us. We feel the local institution. And we need, but local institutions that today are the real innovators all over the world. We just came out from a negotiation in the CFS on urban and peri-urban food system. And what was clear is that local authorities are central all over the world. But where they are not here. It's difficult to have them. So we need, first of all, if we want to resilience, we need to involve them also in creating those policies. Because they are central for local food policy, but it's not enough. And then, for sure, when we have this kind of territorial approach, and just remind ourselves, agroecology is very clear. It's not an unclear document. In FAO, they developed the 10 elements, the CLFS, the 13 principle, the social movement, the 11 principle of the Nyeleni Declaration. We are there. It's not something else. So it's there. We need to use that. And then what they say, it's that we really need to have more revenues, not more production per hectare. Let's stop to say that we need to produce more. We are less and less in the world. I come from the region, Europe and Central Asia, where demographic is a tragedy. All over the world, we will not grow anymore. We don't need to produce more. We need to have better revenue. It's different. It's not true that producing more per hectare means more revenue. It's fake news. To have more revenues, you need to create the condition to have more revenues. And you have to respect the fact that farmers were multifunctional forever. We are not just producer of one thing. We don't do milk, tomato, wheat. We do many things. And our revenue is the result of those many things. And we need to respect that. And this means that we have the knowledge to do many things at the same time. But if we continue to push innovation in a way to extract the knowledge of the food producers, and the knowledge is a new input, external input, as fertilizer and pesticide, family farming will disappear. So knowledge is central for us. So we need to have policy to support our knowledge, to introduce our knowledge in the formal education and research system. We need to co-create. And co-create, it means that we need to respect the different knowledge in that sense. And this is essential, everything that we need to look, because if we don't create the space to see everything together and respect the fact that we are multifunctional, this will not help us to find the solution. So this means that, and I come back to the basis, the rights. If we don't have the rights to land, where we can go? So it's clear that we need to respect that. We want those policy has to be anchored on a human rights approach. And it's not a way to say, no, it's really like that. Because we need those rights, enjoy those rights to make our own choice. I make you an example. They told us that we are not good breeders. We did seeds for 10,000 years. And then 1 century ago, they told us, you're not good enough. We are doing the seeds for all. And now we have a giant problem on loss of biodiversity, agriculture. But who's the one that is really having agriculture biodiversity in his heart? The farmer seeds producers. But where are the laws that implement Article 9 of the International Treaty that respect the farmers' rights? The law at national level are not there. So we need that. And those are laws anchored on human rights. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Setting the scene also for the discussion that we will have afterwards. I think you did that very well. And also to highlight how that we have everything we need, but we need to then move more into implementation and actually get things moving. And also highlighting the territorial approach, I think, is very important. And because it's at the local level that we can create this integration of all the different sectors and the different needs that is actually what needs to be done. So I'm now pleased to give the floor to Dr. Sarah Carday. Sarah is Associate Professor from the School of Agriculture Policy and Development at the University of Reading in the UK. Sarah has given your experience and research in communication and agriculture. Could you give us your perspective on rural communication services and supporting knowledge, innovation, and equity for family farmers in sustaining their livelihoods and increasing their resilience? The floor is yours.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more. And in some ways, I think that rural communication services and inclusive rural communication services is coming from the same perspective. We know that agriculture today is increasingly knowledge intensive. And if we want rural communities to thrive, they need access to the right information at the right time, and it needs to be accessible and relevant to their farming practice. But these communication solutions have to be farmer-focused, not technology-focused and not media-focused. They need to be appropriated by farmers. So they need to be taken and adapted and adopted and changed by farmers so that they suit the context. And they need to be institutionalized so that they can be sustained. Inclusive rural communication services are being adopted to help to respond to farmers' needs using suitable communication solutions, improving networks between farmers, between institutions, and to create institutional arrangements that will allow farmers to network, to continue to innovate, and to have access to and to create the knowledge that they need. It enables family farmers to make informed decisions and to deliver new services that contribute to sustainable food systems. And particularly the focus is on how do we support farmers in appropriating sustainable and suitable ways using sustainable and suitable communication. in partnership with farmer organizations. So rural communication services are more than just media applications. It's using local media with digital technologies and communication processes. And the focus is more on communication processes than media outputs. The idea is to foster knowledge sharing, social inclusion, and strengthen linkages between rural institutions and communities. The FAO and partner institutions have worked together to build evidence towards suitable rural communication services solutions and institutionalization as part of the family farming policies and programs. Why has the FAO engaged with this? Well, rural communication services are recognized by the UN Decade of Family Farming as essential to innovation and capacity building. When you institutionalize diverse and sustainable communication coming from and targeting and working with farmers, you can enhance agricultural innovation systems, we can promote economic and social inclusion, we can support environmental services and climate resilience, and we can strengthen emergency response mechanisms at the very least. They operate across 3 dimensions. Rural communication services have a policy and program focus, so ensuring that farmer voices shape inclusive policies. They are also institutional and organizational, so coordinating communication systems for timely, relevant, and appropriate information. And they're sociocultural, so facilitating two-way communication coming from the perspective of participation and co-creation of knowledge and community engagement. These things are happening in the field, and there are a number of reports and studies that have been put out by the RCS team at the FAO to document these. So communication is a strategic driver of sustainable food systems, and inclusive rural communication services ensure that information and knowledge reaches those who need it to enable collaborative change and amplify the contributions of family farmers. As countries move towards more resilient and equitable agri-food systems, rural communication services must be seen as cross-cutting and strategic that will help ongoing learning and build serious evidence-based approaches for the promotion of RCS for family farming. And this does involve partnership with academic institutions, with family farming institutions and research institutions to generate the evidence that lets us learn from the experiences and generate principles that travel and learn how we can better innovate and use communication to support family farmers. And there are different types of rural communication services already being deployed. Resilience has been supported, such as in India with Digital Greens work. Environmental services have been enhanced and adopted, such as in Costa Rica with Costa Rica's National Plan for Family Farming. There have been social and economic inclusion has been supported, like in Mexico with the Wiki Katat initiative. There's a particularly powerful case study in Somalia where rural radio has been a backbone for resilience in Somalia. And with FAO's assistance, rural radio has become the backbone of an emerging national rural communication service, so that it is ensuring that farmers, fisherfolk, and pastoralists continue to receive vital information, even when insecurity or pandemics disrupt traditional extension and advisory services. It's had incredible reach. Since 2020, 21 local state radio stations have aired more than 110 distance learning programs. They have been doing them in Somali dialect, so they're in the appropriate language, using appropriate local communication. Listenership is at extraordinarily high levels. 750,000 to 900,000 people across rural areas listen to these radio programs every week. They address a range of topics that are relevant to rural communities: agriculture, livestock, fisheries, climate, preventing sexual abuse, and strengthening value chains. So it covers a range of intersectional and interrelated issues in rural development, livelihoods, and human rights. And they have had a profound impact. Listener surveys have demonstrated that 96% of households have adopted at least one recommended practice from the broadcasts, which I can tell you as an academic is extremely high. And to be able to measure it and to understand that those dynamics are going on is very complicated. And to know that 92% of listeners are sharing the information with others is also very high. This creates a ripple effect, so it's not just listeners, but it is information passing through communities. This experience has led directly to policy integration. So the work with rural radio and rural communication services has contributed to the climate change adaptation and communication strategy that was officially endorsed by the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in Somalia. So the practice has led into reflections, extraordinary uptake and listening and engagement, and then influenced policy. And going forward, the ComDev team at the FAO in Somalia facilitated training on disaster risk reduction and early warning systems so that they're able to support farmers in building the resilience to prevent and to avoid disasters in the first place. And the experience is going beyond Somalia. So there's now the Somali experience has laid the foundation for mapping rural radio stations and communication initiatives across 8 African countries. And the data set is now, and it's a comprehensive data set, is now helping the FAO and partners promote inclusive rural communication services in Western and Central Africa. So it demonstrates communication that is locally relevant is incredibly important. Some people will argue that radio is very old and not as relevant, and this demonstrates exactly how wrong that is, where it remains an incredibly important medium and is in fact sharing vital information to farmers and with farmers in contextually relevant ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kadi, and very interesting to enlighten us on the role of rural communication services and also how the communication can be the strategic driver for the food systems transformation. So very interesting, and also something that points well towards the discussion that we will have. But before we have the discussion, and now let me give the floor to the farmers themselves to listen to their experiences and needs and to engage in reflection with them about their perspective on the policy support needed to empower family farmers to drive the transformation towards sustainable and climate resilient agri-food systems. And I would like to invite Alberto Brock, President of Copra Farm and Vice President of the World Rural Forum. So Alberto, the floor is yours, 6 minutes.
Microphone, please. Boa tarde, companheiros e companheiras. Em primeiro lugar, me gostaria de saudar toda a mesa aqui constituída, saudar todos os participantes desse importantíssimo evento, agradecendo em nome do Fórum Rural Mundial o convite para a participação desse importantíssimo diálogo e saudar também as demais redes mundiais aqui presentes. A Via Campesina, a OMA, as 3 grandes redes mundiais que, embora possam ter algumas diferenças pontuais, mas irmanados na defesa, na luta, no diálogo, para fortalecer a agricultura familiar, campesina, indígena de todo o mundo. A segunda observação é que, se não fosse a conquista da década da agricultura familiar e do Ano Internacional da Agricultura Familiar, talvez nós não estaríamos aqui. Então, o reconhecimento das Nações Unidas da importância política e estratégica da agricultura familiar é muito importante e é nesse sentido que nós estamos propagando em todo o mundo o que significa para o mundo esta agricultura familiar, campesina e indígena, que agora descobrimos é responsável por 80% dos alimentos que vai na mesa dos demais de 9 bilhões de pessoas todos os dias. E mais, que não produz, como dizia muito bem o Andréa, somente os alimentos, mas produz desenvolvimento, produz saberes, produz sabores, produz formas centenárias e milenárias de fazer uma comida, para que todo mundo não come só Nestlé. E ela tem um papel fundamental na sociedade e na cultura dos nossos povos. E mais, ela é responsável também pela preservação do meio ambiente. A agricultura familiar, campesina, indígena, os nossos povos originários, têm saberes milenares. E que agora, para ser mais sustentável, meu caro coordenador da mesa, eu acho que nós precisamos unir os saberes do nosso povo com os saberes da ciência. Nós temos que somar essas duas coisas. Nós queremos continuar uma produção agroecológica, que eu gostei muito da caracterização territorial, porque é assim que nós vamos vencendo o desenvolvimento. E para isso, se nós unirmos, meu caro Lautaro, os saberes do povo, os saberes dos agricultores, dos indígenas, dos povos afrodescendentes, com os saberes da ciência, da pesquisa, e nós unirmos esses dois saberes, poderemos dar passos gigantescos para uma produção mais saudável e assim colaborarmos muito para impedir os desastres ambientais que nós já estamos sofrendo em todo o mundo. E, ao mesmo tempo, nós somos capazes de contribuir para um planeta com justiça ambiental. Além disso, é muito importante refrisar que nem no Brasil, em nenhuma parte do mundo, nós possamos fazer isso sozinhos. Nós precisamos, meu caro Guilherme, da presença do Estado, das políticas públicas, mas uma política pública que não vem de cima para baixo, mas construída no diálogo político, para que verdadeiramente ela possa dar os seus resultados importantes. Por isso, nós entendemos que devemos aproveitar ainda muito bem a década da agricultura familiar. E com ela fazermos um embate também político, porque não pensam vocês que todo mundo ama e gosta da agricultura familiar. Nós temos muita gente, inclusive da academia, que não crê na agricultura familiar. Eles dizem que nós somos um peso para o Estado. Eles dizem que não precisa ter muita gente no campo, tem que ir para a cidade, porque são mais eficientes do que nós. E aí será o fim daquilo que é mais importante, porque se eles fossem tão bons assim, nós não teríamos mais quase 700 milhões de pessoas que passam fome todo dia, nós não teríamos tanta pobreza e desigualdade. Então é muito importante que nós possamos também dialogar, se comunicar com os consumidores e ver de onde sai o alimento, a forma desse alimento e que isso significa também para o meio ambiente. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Alberto, also for highlighting the cultural aspects of family farming and how it's all connected. And now let me give the floor to Rimfer Chichi, Secretary General of the Union Maghrébine et Nord-Africaine des Agriculteurs. I hope I said it more or less correct. The floor is yours also for 6 minutes. Thank you.
Ok, merci. Merci beaucoup pour l'introduction. Je veux remercier la FAO pour cette invitation, pour leur hospitalité, sans oublier bien évidemment le Forum rural mondial que l'UMNAGRI est membre depuis des années au Forum rural mondial. Donc, et nous sommes en train de travailler en étroite collaboration depuis des années. Et surtout au niveau national, en Tunisie, sur le plan d'action national. Donc, l'UTAP, c'est l'organisation membre de UMNAGRI, membre fondateur de UMNAGRI, qui a travaillé sur ce plan national, donc avec les parties prenantes, bien évidemment, les ministères, et bon, ça, il est en train d'être, c'est pas finalisé, au contraire, peut-être c'est une occasion de faire appel à nos collègues de l'FAO, le Forum rural mondial, le FIDA, d'accompagner ce plan national, bon, même après de 2028. Donc voilà. Donc, pour le sujet de quelles sont les solutions politiques pour l'agriculture familiale et la résilience, donc au niveau de l'Afrique du Nord, donc l'agriculture familiale représente plus qu'un secteur économique, donc c'est le cœur de notre sécurité alimentaire, de nos traditions et de nos territoires. Elle produit plus de 70%. Les statistiques parlent de 80% de ce que nous consommons, et pourtant ce pilier vital est fragilisé. Sécheresse, hausse des prix, accès limité aux ressources. Les défis sont multiples. Comment renforcer? Donc la question, c'est comment renforcer la résilience de nos agriculteurs. Nos agriculteurs subissent de plein fouet le changement climatique, pluie imprévisible, sol appauvri, désertification. Sur le plan économique, les petites exploitations peinent à survivre face à la flambée des coûts et à l'absence de financement adapté. Et sur le plan social, la jeunesse quitte les campagnes malheureusement, faute de perspectives, tandis que les femmes, pourtant essentielles, manquent encore de reconnaissance et de soutien. Face à cela, des solutions politiques concrètes doivent être imposées. Premièrement, c'est très important d'assurer un accès équitable aux ressources. L'eau et la terre sont les fondations de l'agriculture. Nous devons investir dans des systèmes d'irrigation modernes, économes en eau, et sécuriser l'accès aux fonciers pour les petits exploitants. Moi, ici, je veux citer l'exemple de la Tunisie. Donc, au niveau de l'UTAP, l'UTAP a beaucoup travaillé sur le renforcement des capacités des petits agriculteurs et des coopératives des femmes pour les renforcer sur l'expérience et les systèmes de l'hydroponie. Donc, c'est un système d'irrigation hors sol qui peut économiser la quantité de l'eau, de l'irrigation. C'est tout un système qui est très important vu la sécheresse de la région. Donc aussi, au niveau de la Tunisie, il y a un programme, c'est un projet qui est élaboré dernièrement l'UTAP avec des parties prenantes en Tunisie, donc sur le foncier. Donc le foncier, si on parle de foncier, c'est très important que l'agriculteur a vraiment la terre pour pouvoir avoir des financements. Deuxième chose, il faut garantir l'inclusion économique et sociale. Cela signifie créer des crédits agricoles adaptés aux réalités des petites fermes et mettre en place des programmes spécifiques pour les femmes et les jeunes qui représentent l'avenir de nos campagnes. Donc, dernièrement, nous sommes en train de travailler à travers la FAO, c'est l'organisation panafricaine qui couvre l'Afrique, et l'UMNAGRI est membre de la FAO. Nous sommes en train de travailler avec AGRA, c'est une alliance nous avons signé une convention avec AGRA sur le renforcement des capacités des jeunes femmes et hommes sur les capacités de comment travailler au niveau des entreprises agricoles, donc la création et les business plans et tout. Comme ça, le jeune sera capable d'avoir des financements agricoles. Donc la troisième chose, c'est renforcer les capacités et l'innovation. C'est très important. Nous devons former nos agriculteurs aux nouvelles pratiques durables, encourager l'agroécologie, mais aussi faciliter l'accès au numérique et aux technologies agricoles. Donc les coopératives et les partenariats publics PPP, 3P, donc c'est très important de travailler en collaboration avec les ministères, bien sûr, ou les gouvernements. Donc, quatrième chose, il faut améliorer la gouvernance des organisations paysannes qui devraient être reconnues et intégrées aux décisions agricoles et climatiques. On trouve des fonds énormes climat. Donc, nous sommes tous d'accord, mes collègues ici qui représentent les organisations paysannes, et ces financements climat, l'agriculteur, le petit agriculteur, le petit exploitant n'a pas accès à ces ressources climat. Donc, c'est très important qu'on travaille tous sur ce côté pour encourager les agriculteurs à travailler et de ne pas avoir quitté la terre, bien sûr. Donc, rien ne doit être décidé par eux sans eux. On parle des agriculteurs, bien sûr. Pour conclure, l'agriculture familiale n'est pas seulement une activité rurale, elle est une solution stratégique face aux crises alimentaires et climatiques. Si nous voulons une région ou bien un continent ou bien un monde résilient, il est urgent de passer d'une logique d'assistance ponctuelle à une logique de résilience systémique. Donc aussi il faut vraiment investir dans l'agriculture familiale. Donc aujourd'hui, c'est protéger notre sécurité alimentaire, préserver nos ressources naturelles et offrir un avenir digne à nos jeunes et à nos communautés. Donc voilà, merci pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Fashici, and thanks a lot for explaining us about the situation of family farming in Tunisia and in North Africa as well. And now we come to the part of the session where we are opening the floor for you, dear participants. And I'm happy that to hear and that you share now your experiences. You are very welcome to ask the questions you may have or the comments to what you heard from the panel. And we have now 40 minutes for questions. I would suggest that we take a few rounds, so 3-4 questions, and then for the panelists, if you take note of which questions you feel are for you, and then I will give you the floor and we will then take another round, not to have too many things at the same time. So let's begin with the first questions. Yes.
Thank you for the presentations. I have 2-3 quick points. The first one is regarding, the urban, the family farming. Family farming by its nature is a community-led approach that has been developed during the history by the communities, whether they are in vulnerability or instability, so that is the nature of the family farming. So the question, are we able to protect the sequence and enhance the resilience of this important approach on the ground? That is a question for all of us. I think what we are doing is really great, but maybe we need to develop this approach. Could be starting from developing policies, relevant policies, but this is not easy to happen if those family farmers do not have their own community-led spaces, organizations, institutions, power spaces where they can raise their voice and influence and say their words in the right moment. The other point is regarding knowledge and the protection of the family farming knowledge existed, accumulated along the past years, decades in the history of our humanity. I think that's also an important issue. This knowledge is really is shrinking, is in a very shrinking condition, and the challenges, even risks. So that is also another important issue that we need to consider during our different and in relation with this important issue, the research component. Where are we from the research component and creating more integrated space between our different organizations, the family farmers, communities, with research organizations and universities? I think we are also in need to promote, discuss what is called the participatory learning action research, a research that can be led by the local community, not only by the academics in the universities, with high respect to our academics in their universities. That's an issue. The last point, resilience. Yes, we spent the last 3 decades talking about this important approach, how to make the local communities resilient at both institutional, community levels, etc. But I think even this approach needs to be revisioned. How to make resilience more a transformative, equitably transformative approach. Resilience. How? Simply depending more and more in the local knowledge, local accumulated experiences in the community, as well as supporting any community-led action, especially actions in crisis, in the time of protracted crisis conditions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do we have other questions or comments? Here.
English. Thank you, Khalid Khawaldi, World Alliance Mobile Indigenous People and Pastoralists. I think most of the time we forget the pastoralists when we talk about family farming. and this is really a very crucial issue for the pastoralists because at the international level, even at the decade of the family farming, we were forgotten, and I remember that I was in the inauguration meeting, and we expressed our concern about that, but never taken into consideration. I think the specificity of the pastoralist from other family farmers is that the way they live, the geographical locations scattered in wide, remote, mostly desert or semi-arid areas, is where even like communication is not easy. Even for us, like WAMEP, World Last by Indigenous People, it's not easy for us to reach out to the pastoralists, and I think it's the same applied to the others. But this is one of the main issues. So the specificity is about the geographical location. When we talk about, for example, we talk about seed, but we forget about the breeds, for example. When we talk about farms, we forget for the rangeland and pastures. When we talk about services, for example, it is different when we talk about services for the farmers than the pastoralists. So the specificity of the pastoralists make it them marginalized, which is a big issue. And I think even when we hear at this meeting, we rarely hear some people mentioning pastoralists. This is a very important issue. And at the national level, we hear about Ministry of Agriculture, for example, but we don't hear about pastorals or pastoralism. So even at we are thankful for the FAO for inviting us here, but we were forgotten at a regional level to be part of the dialogue and discussion. So I think this is an extra marginalization. I know all the family farmer sector is marginalized to some extent, but for the pastoralists more. And I hope that through the discussion we can find some solution to include more pastoralists. Also, in general, not only for the pastoralists, but also for all the family farmers. I think the self-representation is very important. Most of the time, they are represented by NGOs or other groups, but not by the grassroots people, which is very important. Some of the speakers talked about that because it's very important to hear from them, and it should be by us, not for us. So I think these are very important issues I wanted to raise at the moment. Thank you so much.
Let's take one more comment and question, or both, before we let the panel.
Soy José María de Costa Rica. Quiero preguntarle al señor del gobierno de Guatemala y felicitarlos por el esfuerzo que hacen. Pero he estado en Guatemala y he visto el precio económico muy bajo del aguacate. Me dicen que es por tanta importación de aguacate de México. ¿Vive dignamente un productor de aguacate en Guatemala o es parte de la pobreza que tenemos en toda América Latina los que nos dedicamos a la agricultura familiar? Yo soy un campesino.
So let's give the floor to the panel. I don't know who wants to begin. I think there were quite different questions in different directions. Maybe we begin, there was a direct question for you, Rafael, if you want to answer on the avocado. Then let's begin with that.
Muchas gracias por la pregunta. Pues principalmente digamos que dentro de la información que hemos generado en Guatemala se encuentra nuestro mapa de cobertura vegetal y uso de la tierra a escala unos 50.000 de la República. Y para hacer este mapa quiero mencionar un poquito la interacción con la agricultura familiar. Tuvimos la validación de nuestra información de este estudio con 4.000 agricultores en todo el país. Entonces este mapa, esta información circuló por todo el país y eso nos permite dar datos. Hay algo interesante, la versión 2025 ya trae un análisis agroeconómico también, cultivo por cultivo. Precisamente hace unos 5 años observamos una ficha técnica agroeconómica en Costa Rica, principalmente del café. Y nos pareció muy interesante el hablar de un cultivo versus el impacto económico que tiene. Entonces, nosotros tomamos como modelo la ficha de Costa Rica, pero lo replicamos a nuestros cultivos y ahora desarrollamos 60 fichas agroeconómicas del país. En el caso del aguacate es una de ellas y hemos observado que, por ejemplo, al tener esta información, podemos generar una ficha agroeconómica donde podemos determinar primero en dónde está la cobertura de crecimiento de producción del aguacate a nivel nacional. Además de eso, también digamos que en Guatemala, primero la información sobre la mesa ha servido de utilidad. El sector privado también ha hecho uso de esta información y esto ha permitido la apertura de mercados. Por ejemplo, el cultivo del aguacate está cobrando importancia a la apertura de mercados locales, nacionales e internacionales, y especialmente en el mercado de los Estados Unidos de América. La superficie, digamos, del aguacate solamente en Guatemala tiene una superficie de 10.921 hectáreas, lo que representa el 0.10% del territorio nacional. Entonces, en el crecimiento histórico ha mostrado fluctuaciones positivas en pequeña escala a lo largo del tiempo, siendo aprovechado principalmente por nichos de nuevos mercados. Entonces, también en este caso, el aguacate también se ha integrado a sistemas agroforestales, específicamente en combinación con el café, conocido como el café y el aguacate, que así se llama en esta clasificación. Y hasta este momento Guatemala ha desarrollado, por ejemplo, asociaciones nacionales del aguacate, que lo tenemos ahora presente, que participó también en la validación de este mapa que estoy mencionando, que es el Inventario Nacional de Cultivos, que quiero hacer mención. Hemos hecho una base de datos que regresa al producto, si hablamos del aguacate, hasta el año 1972. 72 hasta el 2025 para ver el crecimiento, y aunque en este caso digamos que el cultivo es relevante, también el impacto que sufre por las pérdidas que derivan de los fenómenos agroclimáticos es importante también mencionarlo, porque eso permite también la atención de las necesidades que tiene el agricultor para proteger sus cultivos. Por ejemplo, tenemos mucha producción de aguacate en zonas que no debería haber producción por los riesgos, pero es donde más produce. Por ejemplo, tenemos el volcán de Pacaya en sus faldas. Es una zona muy de riesgo por las erupciones que el volcán hace, pero es donde más se produce el aguacate. Entonces, digamos que el crecimiento ha sido exponencial, pero la asistencia a los agricultores también ha sido partícipe. Así de que el aguacate es uno de los cultivos. Quiero mencionar que nuestro inventario hasta este momento llega a 120 categorías que tenemos registradas, y el aguacate es uno de los 120 que sí podemos mencionar. Así que agradezco la mención, pero sí de una ficha que nos sirvió como análisis agroeconómico, como un modelo de Costa Rica, lo replicamos y ahora pues tenemos información para poder brindar cultivo por cultivo. Gracias.
Thank you. We also had a question about the collaboration between academia and farmers organizations, and maybe also on, let's say, rural institutions. So, Sarah, maybe you will answer this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I want to start. I really like how you phrase that family farming is inherently cumulative. I couldn't agree more. And I think when we think about academic research, there are some who absolutely misunderstand and underappreciate the importance of family farming. If you take a purely economic lens and look at efficiency, they might argue it's more efficient for people to move to cities. They're missing an understanding of the richness of the knowledge of family farming. So, and I do agree with you that this accumulated knowledge is under threat. Part of that is because we have it is easy to get into a narrow understanding of what is knowledge. My grandfather was a farmer. He grew wheat. He knew his land by looking at it. That is something you build up over time, and it can feel intangible, but it is very important. And I think one of the trends I'm seeing, so there's always going to be people who will look at economic efficiency, who won't understand and appreciate the cultural dimensions. And as my colleague Rin said, that family farming is not just a rural activity, it's at the heart of food and climate resilience, and I think she's absolutely correct. If we ignore the lessons and the insight and the knowledge from family farmers, we will miss opportunities to improve resilience. So what we need to do is to work on how do we understand the perspectives and the voices of family farmers and people who are overlooked. I tend to spend my time looking at young people and women. There's a lot of different voices. There are some academics who are much more interested in the stories and the perspectives of family farmers. And some of the most interesting and I think powerful work I've ever done as an academic has been when I have been collaborating with a farmer organization. I'm currently working with a Ukrainian Agribusiness Association, and the more I learn from them, the better the work we're doing. So 100%. I think sometimes we misunderstand each other, so we have to learn the same language. And that is something we have to do with humility and take a bit of a risk with different actors, but it can be very powerful when we try it. And one of the purposes of communication is to help us do that. Research is not that complicated. So we can teach farmers how to do their own research. And they can drive the agenda. And like I said, powerful things happen when they do. So that should be part of our agenda. There are many of us working in the academic sector where that's fundamental. I do think that's one of the fundamental assumptions of rural communication services. How do you help farmers have the voice of farmers be heard and stop being overlooked?
Thank you, Sarah. The last question was about pastoralism, or last comment was about pastoralism. Are there any of the panelists who would like to say something? Andrea, please. Or you're also welcome to talk about other things, of course.
Yeah, starting from pasture, that's clear, no? But I think there was an understanding when we were talking about family farming just at the beginning, we were talking about all the food producers, because fisher folks are entirely part of this story. Pastoralists, by definition, unfortunately, is not recognized, but are the most resilient food producer, because by default, if they are not resilient, they don't live. So it's thanks to them that we learn what is resilience. In that sense, no? And but this is part of the discussion that we don't recognize this knowledge. And honestly, yes, there is a part of academia recognizing, but it's too little. So we need a deep reform of all the education and research system. Otherwise, this is not possible. We cannot rely on the individuals that are open-minded. And unfortunately, this is the situation today. We are relying to few people that are super open-minded and they work with us. This cannot be, because if you want to do what this HLP report tells us about a resilient food system, we need also to rethink totally all the innovation sector. Because if, as here, when we talk about innovation, we just talk about digitalization, we are lost. we are definitely lost. So this is real a central issue for family farming, for all the food producers. That, by the way, on the first question, it's a rights-based approach, because if you want to get organized, you need to have the rights to be organized. And this is, again, if we don't give to the food producers their rights, it's impossible to have the right to food for all, because we will have only few producers for many that will eat tomorrow, because this is where we are going, no? Because unfortunately, we are losing farmers every day, millions. So this is why we totally need this shift and by the way, I think that, but you know better than me, next year there is a great opportunity to strengthen the pastoralist approach in the family farming, because there is the International Year of Rangelist and Pastoralists, and it's clear that those things has to go together, because it's a great opportunity in that sense. And just a small thing. About international trade, the issue of avocado, and I talked to my friends of Mercosur. You have the best policy on family farming, but then we do the international trade agreement of Mercosur, and I can tell you that both sides, family farmers, are losers in that trade agreement. So there is also an issue inside each of us that unfortunately we are too small. The automobile industry is too strong, and to get a good agreement for them, we are the loser. We need to find a way, as we are feeding the society, so we need a societal debate to say family farmer can't be a loser both sides of the Atlantic in a trade agreement. So this is essential in that sense.
Thank you. Are there more members of the panel who want to respond to any of the questions or have any comments? No? Then let's take a round more of questions, and at the end, let's finish with 2 minutes to each of the panelists so that you wrap up or give perspective on the discussion as you have seen it. So that's the last we will do. But we will have at least now one more round of 3 or 4 questions again. I saw Stefan had a comment or a question before, so maybe you will begin.
Thank you, Morten. I just wanted to make a note on the speakers and on what was presented. I agree with most of what was said. I think that we need to think more about the market integration for family farmers. And that is probably the main topic that brings kind of sustainability, both in economic and social terms. As we all know, neither of us individuals and neither of individual farmers cannot do it on its own. So one tick is that we need to work a little bit more on association of farmers. When we have more farmers on one place, then your voice becomes stronger. And when the voice becomes stronger, we can create inclusive policies with the institutions that can support the framework of family farming activity, taking into account that not only our own needs, but also the external factors needs to be on the table. Every policy creates both opportunity and responsibility. And that responsibility goes on the both sides. I work for a farmer organization for more than 12 years. And this is the place to say, one of the most stubborn people are the farmers. That's us. And there is no satisfied farmer anywhere in the world. That's true. And in this sense, we must be aware of the fact that when we ask something, we need to respect something. It goes on the both sides. If we are trying to create policies that will help us, we need to negotiate how we will keep these policies ongoing. When we are trying to find natural resources and access to natural resources that will help us do the thing, then we must do it in a sustainable manner to respect the green policies, the system that is ongoing. When we ask for money, we must provide value. In that sense, I think that one of the two important issues that was less mentioned in this discussion was that we need to work with the farmers, with individual family farmers, that if they would like their voice to be heard, they need to be joined, associated. They need to become a beehive in order to be resilient. Only beehives in a system that has purpose can be resilient. And I think this is the role of all of us present here, both the representatives of the civil society, academia, people of FAO, and also the government. And the second more important thing is in the era where we live, in this global market where the prices are changing and the value of the products is changing each day in its standards, both in quality, quantity, and economic estimate. We need to pay attention of how easily to go into market integration and to create our production according to the market demand. That are the two important issues I think that we need to pay attention on. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Let's take one or two more. Yeah.
Buenas tardes. Bueno, ya se ha hablado de que la agricultura familiar no solamente es producción, eso lo decía ahorita. Pero nosotros quisiéramos que esa agricultura no es que se nos dé más importancia quizás que la otra, sino que se nos trate como un renglón que participa en esa dinámica de la economía, esa economía circular. Lo que pasa es que hay muchas cosas que no se ven. En una comunidad, si tú produces lo que tú produces, circula, y quizás eso no se le pone ese precio. Nosotros en República Dominicana se habla que esos agricultores familiares tienen de 4 a 5 hectáreas, lo máximo. Y producimos más del 80% de lo que se consume en el país. Y eso se reconoce. Incluso el Ministerio de Agricultura y todas las instituciones nos damos ese lujo de que producimos más del 80% de eso. Y que generamos algo que no se ha dicho ahí. Más del 60% del empleo rural está garantizado por la agricultura familiar, de acuerdo al censo, al precenso que se hizo en nuestro país. Pero cuando se va a hablar, se habla del turismo, se habla de la zona franca, se habla, eso es para invertir, inversión para tal cosa. Ya nosotros nos tratan como de la dádiva de lo que nos dan. Es decir, es que nos traten como lo que somos, un sector de importancia para la alimentación del mundo.
I saw one more question there. Yeah.
Alpha Mansari, Director of Extension, Sierra Leone, Minister of Agriculture. So let me, it's about co-creations. If we are doing support to smallholder farmers, we need to ensure that we work with them across the processes. We are solving the problems for the smallholder farmers. So that's the conversation between Richard and how we link Richard to the activities of smallholder farmers. But that's set aside. So it's also about technologies and innovations we are driving towards smallholder farmers. most so often it's at the experimental stage. We'll demonstrate very well, but how that can be scaled up is another challenge. So the conversations that we should be having now is how we get these technologies into the hands of the broader group of smallholder farmers. But now I saw the slide in terms of the movement that we are doing. There are still countries who have no frameworks, who have no national action plan, still countries without an implementation plan. So it's difficult for you to engage, especially I'm talking as a government official. If you don't have all these strategic plans, how do you engage government to influence government-owned plans? So those are some of the bottlenecks. We'll share experiences tomorrow, how we've been navigating around integrating the issue of family farming into the overall national strategy that we are implementing.
J'ai une seule question à poser au vice-président de l'Organisation mondiale des agriculteurs qui a fait une déclaration qui m'a fait peur. Quand il disait que certains universitaires pensent que nous constituons un poids pour l'État. Ça me fait peur parce que pour ceux qui ont étudié l'économie de la connaissance, ils doivent savoir que de plus en plus aujourd'hui, on parle des sciences cognitives, des sciences de l'immatériel, et que depuis 1990, il y a une nouvelle forme d'économie de la connaissance qui s'écrit. Est-ce que son affirmation a tenu compte de ces nouvelles donnes?
Let's turn back to the panel and see who will go first. No? Okay, everything is clear. You want to say something, Andrea?
Because I try to answer. The first problem is the biggest problem, no? How to work together. But this is, we need to recognize that we have so many problems in terms of how to organize. We have all the crises of all the organizations of the 20th centuries. Unions, all those kind of things are in full crisis. We need to think how to put together people again. This is the main problem. Honestly, if you think about innovation and somebody comes to me and say, I have a drones that can make you produce more per hectare, or I have a solution to make you work better, I have no doubt I will choose this one. I need to know how to work together. I cannot use the unions, the cooperative, the consortium. It's a number of bankruptcy that we have in our past that we need to take the principles to work together, but how? Because otherwise, you are right, we will never solve anything. We cannot solve the things by our own. So this is a big question to ourselves, but this is a big question for academia. This is a big question to all of us, to work on that. And we need to put resources on that because it's not an easy issue in that sense. And I think this is really the biggest problem that we have, also because I was looking at another thing, sorry, that this means that if we know how to do that, then we can do everything. And also we can, for example, try to address the government when there is no national framework on family farming through other roads, because they are, for example, the national biodiversity plan that has that you have to do. In that there is agroecology that it's in somehow one of the targets, is target 10, and from there you enter a family farming policy in the national biodiversity and you try to engage with the government in that sense, no? But I really think that in this moment, our problem, and we need to work all on that, is how to work together and how to make the society again central in this discussion, because we are talking about the right to food. So this means that also us, maybe we don't need to think only to one single type of organization, only the farmer, only the fisher folk, only the pastoralist. Maybe we need to innovate how we work together in that sense.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, one additional comment. At the back.
I think, yes, I liked so much the recent presentations by the, we spent a lot of time and energy during the past years on assessing the needs of the people, the needs of the family farmers. What do they need? So the entry point, or it could be to map and to assess the already existed capacities, knowledge, experience, resilience, and success stories that we can find them everywhere in each family farming community in this nice world of us. And from there, that could be a starting point. And I totally agree. It's time to revision the ways, approaches that we used to use along the past decades. Yes, it's time to revise these existed approaches, but to keep it community-led. That's very important. To keep the farmers, the family farmers, in the heart of these approaches, and to keep it led by the local communities. I think that could be an important point. And I'm sure we will be able to discover and to see and to learn from thousands of existing capacities, local forums, local initiatives that we don't see. We haven't yet mapped or have an idea about it. I give you one example from Gaza. All of us know the situation, the reality, which is very much unbearable and very difficult. The only remaining thing of the agricultural lands in Gaza now, it's not more than 5% of the total agricultural lands. These 5% are mainly led by the family farmers, the urban family farmers, which is the only available local source for some food on the ground. And that's why we understand the importance of the family farming, especially during the time of the crisis. It's really very important, very key to take lessons from there and sharing this knowledge globally, regionally, nationally. Our meeting in Cairo was great. This global meeting is really great and very important. Then what comes next? I think keeping this talking language between these different levels at that's very, very important for all of us. Let's build on our already existed experience here, from Cairo to Rome, and then back to for other parts of the world. I think that could be an important starting point as raised and proposed by our colleagues and the friends here. Thank you so much.
So now we finish the session with the 2 minutes to each of the panelists. Sarah, you look like you wanted to say something. Maybe you can begin then.
Sure. I agree with you. Mutual understanding is incredibly difficult. I mean, the world would be a very different place if we had better communication skills and understanding, and yet it is fundamental. And it is not enough to have one-off academics, completely agree with you. It's not enough to have one-off farmers organizations willing to talk. We need to partially build our own skills in communication and research, in sharing experience, because I think, yeah, we've got a wealth of knowledge. It's how do we share the knowledge in a way that farmers are going to benefit, that we can tell the stories and shape the dialogue. we can reframe the discussion about the future of agriculture and food and environmental resilience using the stories and learning from family farmers, use the communication tools and skills we do have. We have systems, strengthen them, institutionalize and embed how we are able to learn from family farmers in order to better support them. I'm reminded of my students. I teach postgraduates. They're from all over the world. And they are all committed to, they come to study with me because they're committed to making change in their community. They are often have 5 businesses. They're often farmers themselves. And investing in younger voices and investing in innovators and building entrepreneurial spirit and supporting that will also help to keep supporting family farmers. I think you're right when you talk about market integration, thinking creatively, how do we convince and how do we demonstrate why consumers and societies should be valuing family farmers? There was a campaign, I'm Canadian, and there was a campaign in Southern Ontario when I was growing up that said, if you ate today, thank a farmer. And I haven't seen one since. And I still think it was one of the best campaigns I saw because it was absolutely honest. So how do we continue to show that when people are disconnected from their food? Young children in the UK don't know that carrots grow in the ground. That's often a challenge. So we have the knowledge, we have the resources to educate societies, which will help to build support, to establish better understanding between groups, because then we can be very powerful and potent together. And then to listen to and keep the voices of family farmers at the core so that we continue to learn how do we keep building food security, how do we build environmental resilience, and how do we build the future that we would like and that the globe deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Rafael, please.
Pues muchas gracias por la invitación. La verdad que este foro sí hace un intercambio de conocimientos muy importantes. Quiero sumarme a la importancia de lo que se ha comentado en cuanto al tema de ser generadores de información. No solamente el ser copiadores de datos que existen o no existen, tenemos que aprender a generar más información. Por ejemplo, nosotros estamos haciendo énfasis en el tema del riesgo climático que tiene la agricultura a nivel internacional, pero tiene que optimizarse desde el punto de vista nacional, conocer nuestros territorios, hasta dónde llega. Por eso en el tema de resiliencia es solamente una adaptación. En el caso de la generación de información básica que nos permite conocer el tema del clima, el tema de los calendarios fenológicos, cuáles son las circunstancias actuales del país, son relevantes. La salud del suelo es importante también para medir la producción. En este caso también es importante que los datos nos permitan ver cuánto ha crecido el territorio agrícola de nuestro país, pero también lo que se está impulsando desde el punto de vista climático, cuánto hemos perdido cada año de producción a nivel nacional, es importante, porque nosotros queremos evitar, por ejemplo, especulación de precios, queremos hablar con realidades y cuando toque la bolsa del consumidor, pues que sea con sumo conocimiento el impacto que estamos recibiendo como país, porque nunca vamos a estar solamente evitando que suba el precio, tenemos que ir a la raíz del problema y eso es lo que permite el poder analizar la información desde la óptica de prevención y de mitigación. Así de que quiero sumarme a esto, la agricultura familiar es importante, pero el agricultor tenemos que saberle llevar la tecnología para que el agricultor también nos entienda, nos comprenda a nosotros y que podamos compartir esos conocimientos y convertir eso en nuevos estudios que nos permitan a nosotros tener evidencia para poder mencionar y tomar decisiones agroclimáticamente inteligentes. Gracias.
Final words from you, Andrea.
Thank you so much. Super interesting always to share. And indeed, we need to map. We need to, because there is a lot outside there. There is really a lot. And we need to map, but now, because mapping is linking to preserving knowledge that is shrinking every day. we are losing biodiversity, but we are losing also our knowledge, because the fact that we are aging, the food producers are aging everywhere, we are losing that knowledge. It's gone forever. And that knowledge was a century of knowledge. So we need to hurry up in that sense of mapping, because we are shrinking in terms of knowledge, and that it's not good if we want to have a resilience approach to the food system. And we need to be also careful on where we put this knowledge, because data, it's how it's organized, the knowledge. And I think that till now, we are in a kind of far west on where we put all those data. There are no regulation, and this means that we need to control this knowledge, because this is our knowledge, and we cannot allow that everybody can exploit the knowledge of the food producers for their own personal benefit. This means that we need to have better rules. And for example, in the European Union, there are very clear act on Digital Act, Digital Market Act, but we have no idea what is the consequence of all that on the food system. And outside the European Union, it's even worse. There is nothing. And the data grabbing is there, and it's totally linked to the knowledge. So this is something that when we talk about family farming, we always say the capital is coming from the family, the work is coming from the family, but we need to be very clear in saying that the knowledge is coming from the family, because if we lost the knowledge, we lost our capacity to be actors on the food system, and we become the simple supplier of the agro-industry.
Yes, Alberto, please.
Gracias. Me parece que este debate foi extremamente importante. Eu escutava com muita atenção os meus colegas de mesa e escutava também todas as pessoas que falaram, que se manifestaram, que puderam, e as outras, atenção, como também escutavam. Aqui mais de 2 horas significa o quanto nós nos concentramos nesse tema. E eu só, no final, agora, gostaria de deixar algumas mensagens, em nome do Fórum Rural Mundial. A nossa mensagem é de ressaltar alguns valores que se colocaram aqui, por exemplo, como a organização dos agricultores. Nós sozinhos, nós não vamos para lugar nenhum. Nós precisamos estar unidos. As nossas associações, as nossas cooperativas, no território, poder envolver as autoridades locais, regionais, para que a gente verdadeiramente possa enfrentar os grandes desafios, principalmente no momento como este, que nós precisamos da resiliência, precisamos de de uma transformação dos modelos de produção, dos modelos sustentáveis, dos sistemas alimentares. Nós precisamos de políticas públicas que nascem a partir da base. Nós precisamos ser ouvidos pelos governos. Os governos precisam que nos escutam. O diálogo político é uma grande ferramenta. Então, nós precisamos nos preparar para esse diálogo político. Nós também precisamos de acreditar mais nas nossas organizações e não perdermos nunca esta rede mundial que nós estamos envolvidos com esta grande plataforma que a FAO nos proporciona. Por isso, caríssimo Guilherme, o responsável da unidade da FAO pela agricultura familiar, parabéns pelo seu trabalho, sua equipe, e as FAOs regionais, os organismos multinacionais, embora passamos por uma crise do multilateralismo violenta, são muito importantes para nós. São valores para nós que nós devemos nos apoiar. E creio que nós devemos estar muito integrados com a década da agricultura familiar para a sua verdadeira implementação. Eu acredito nisso, nós temos que ter esperança, nós precisamos ter bastante otimismo para transformar essa realidade do campo, que, segundo a FAO, nós temos quase a metade da população que passa fome no campo. Não é possível vivermos com essa contradição. Uma grande parte da pobreza no campo. Não é possível nós continuarmos com essa desigualdade em relação aos recursos naturais, como a terra e a água, como nos coloca sempre o nosso presidente do INCRA, companheiro César que está aqui. Voltamos a falar em reforma agrária. Parece que uma vez era proibido, então inventaram uma palavra chique, que é acesso à terra. Não, vamos falar da reforma agrária. Não é possível 80% de todas as proprietários do mundo tem 20% da terra e 20%, 80% da terra. Então esse também é uma batalha muito importante para fortalecer a agricultura familiar. Importantíssimos, que nós não esqueçamos do papel das mulheres do campo, que tem uma jornada tripla, da juventude. Então nós temos um papel muito importante para termos um mundo bem melhor. Muito obrigado.
Thank you, Alberto. And the final words, Rim, the last words are yours.
Si, vraiment, pour conclure, je ne vais pas prendre beaucoup de paroles. En 2 mots, pour garantir la souveraineté alimentaire, il faut croire en l'agriculture familiale. Voilà, donc c'est mon message et il faut vraiment, il faut que toutes les parties prenantes se croient et travaillent pour l'agriculture familiale. Voilà, merci.
So we're coming to an end with this roundtable, second roundtable. Let's give a big hand for the panel. We will now have the coffee break, and then we will continue at 4 o'clock with the special session. And let me find the title. We have the special session on characterization of family farming in Latin America and the Caribbean, challenges, evidence, and perspectives, after the coffee break. So 15 minutes of coffee break.
The activity. Vamos para este esfuerzo final, la última sesión del día, una sesión pensada y por eso tiene ese nombre de una sesión especial sobre la caracterización de la agricultura familiar a partir de una contribución de Latinoamérica y el Caribe, pero discutiendo con las otras regiones. Vamos a ver algunos de los desafíos, evidências e perspectivas. Se vocês se fijam, durante todo o dia, e não foi distinto nesse painel último, falamos muito da importância do reconhecimento da agricultura familiar. As políticas públicas, por lo general, se trata de alocar recursos que são escassos para fines públicos, que são consensuados na sociedade. E, em geral, assim como nós outros estamos fazendo acá uma discussão sobre agricultura familiar, outros grupos de outros setores fazem o mesmo. E vão a disputar espaço em la renda pública, espaço em la renda política, para o uso dos recursos. Então, poner em evidência as particulares características de la agricultura familiar, su contribución al desarrollo del país, no se trata solo de una agenda de demandas por un sector, sino más bien de cómo este sector, ese sujeto, los y las agricultores familiares contribuyen al desarrollo de un territorio, al desarrollo de un país, al desarrollo, en el sentido más amplio de la palabra, ¿no? En el sentido de ampliar las oportunidades, las posibilidades, las libertades de las personas, ¿no? Pueden contribuir. Entonces, por eso es tan importante esa dimensión de la caracterización, no por un ejercicio académico. No es de eso que estamos hablando y no es de eso que vamos a hablar en ese panel. Estamos hablando de una caracterización y por eso, desde la FAO, nosotros insistimos tanto en esa herramienta de política que son los registros de agricultura familiar. No es censo, no es investigación académica, sino más bien un instrumento que permite, por un lado, que toda la sociedad sepa quiénes son esses agricultores, dónde están, cómo producen, para quiénes producen, cuáles son sus dificultades, cuáles son sus reales contribuciones a los procesos de desarrollo de un país, para que se pueda no solo reconocer, sino también valorizar ese rol. Esse rol em la produção de alimentos, é certo, pero também em las múltiples funções que cumpre a agricultura familiar, como discutimos hoje por la manhã e discutimos ayer e anteayer no intercâmbio entre Latinoamérica e o Caribe e Europa do Leste e Ásia Central. Então, de isso se trata esse panel. Vamos a ter uma apresentação de Maria Inácia Haddad. Maria Inácia Haddad é especialista técnica em desenvolvimento rural da Oficina Regional da FAO para a América Latina e o Caribe. Depois, comentários de Rima El Hajjar, jefa do Serviço Econômico e de Comercialização da Direção de Recursos Vegetais do Ministério de Agricultura do Líbano, a quem agradeço que esteja conosco. Luego, o senhor Aruna Lawani, vice-presidente de ROPA, a Rede de Organizações de Agricultores e Produtores Agrícolas de África Ocidental. Thank you, merci to be here. And o excelentíssimo senhor Francisco Amélio, vice-ministro do Ministério de Desenvolvimento Agropecuário de Panamá, a quem também agradeço por haver prontamente aceitado a invitação. Então, temos acá uns 45 minutos. O desafio que têm eles é terminar, porque depois nós vamos todos juntos seguir a conversação, tomando um coquetel acá no piso 8 da FAO para uma recepção entre todos nós outros, para conhecermos um pouco mais a partir das 5. Assim que cedo a palavra a Maria Inácia, que vai ser a apresentação inicial.
Muchas gracias, Luis. Si me pudieran ayudar compartiendo la presentación, por favor. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. My name is Maria Ignacia Haddad, and I work in FAO's Regional Office for Latin America and the Caribbean. As Luis mentioned, I'm very pleased to share with you today the main findings of our study on characterization of family farming in Latin America and the Caribbean, challenges, evidence, and perspectives. I'm also aware, as Luis just mentioned, that we are the last stop before the cocktail, so we hope to keep you engaged during these last few minutes. And we really hope that this is an interesting discussion for you. So to set the scene, agriculture plays a central role in a region's development and in global agri-food systems. Latin America and the Caribbean is the largest net food exporter in the world, contributing with 14% of global agricultural production and 17% of exports. Around 1/3 of the region's land area is used for agriculture, So a key question is who are the actors that are behind this massive contribution? So to begin to understand who makes this possible, we must look at the agrarian structure of a region. The region is highly heterogeneous. We have very large and very small farms coexisting. Land ownership is extremely unequal. The top 1% of farms concentrate over 50% of agricultural land, and at the same time, 2/3 of all farms are smaller than 5 hectares, but they occupy only a small fraction of the area. This pattern varies also across the subregions. So in South America, we have a land concentration that is particularly high. Over 60% of the area belongs to the top 1% of holdings. And while in the Caribbean, most farms are very small, and more than half of the land is in farms below 2 hectares. So this dual reality of concentration and fragmentation has serious implications. It widens productivity gaps, it limits access to credit, and it hinders rural development. So this picture of concentration and fragmentation is striking, but it only gives us part of the story, because behind these numbers are millions of families who live, work, and depend on agriculture. And to truly understand rural development in our region, we need to ask who are these families, what makes them different from large-scale agribusiness, and how should we define them? So this is where the concept of family farming becomes central. The concept of family farming has been widely discussed for more than a century, alluding to a sector with particular social and economic characteristics that distinguishes it from other productive sectors known as agribusiness. For the UN Decade of Family Farming, with the purpose of establishing a common framework of understanding and to facilitate dialogue between various actors, the following conceptualization was proposed. It says that family farming, comprising all family-centered agricultural activities, is a way of organizing crop, forestry, fisheries, livestock, and aquaculture production that is managed and administered by a family and depends mainly on the capital and labor of its members, both women and men. And the family and the farm are related to each other, evolve together, and combine economic, environmental, social, and cultural functions. So in other words, family farming, as we have widely discussed today, is not just about producing food, it's about sustaining families, communities, and traditions. In our region, in Latin America and the Caribbean, 17 countries, so more than half of all countries, have an official definition of family farming. Together, they represent more than 90% of agricultural land, meaning that 90% of all agricultural land is managed in a way where family farming is properly identified. South America stands out. Every country there has a legally established definition. And although the current definitions of family farming vary, they share some elements that allow us to identify its essential characteristics. So common criteria across definitions include the predominance of family labor, the management of the farm is in the hands of the family, there are thresholds linked to land, assets, or production levels. But there are also important differences because each country adapts the definition to their own realities, right? So for family labor, for instance, some countries define that only family workers can be present in the farm. Others allow for the majority of them to be family farmers or a particular number of additional workers. The administration is mostly required to be in the hands of the family or managed by a natural person. There are thresholds regarding farm size that vary widely across countries, and some examples like Chile and Brazil use standardizations, meaning that the land, there are equivalences of land according to the agroecological characteristics in each region. There are criteria related to income also, and the residence of the members is required to be at the farm most of the times. And these variations matter because they shape who is counted as family farmers and who is left out. So we need to understand that the differences are not inherently bad. They reflect the different realities and contexts across our diverse region. But we need to ensure that these differences come from deep understanding of the subject and not of oversimplification thereof. Unfortunately, even where definitions exist, many countries lack operational definitions that allow not only the recognition of family farmers, but also their proper identification. While conceptual definitions establish the general attributes of the groups of interest, the operational definitions specify the criteria to determine whether a particular subject belongs or not to the said group. So this creates important challenges for designing differentiated policies, recognizing family farmers as policy beneficiaries, and collecting reliable statistics. In this sense, family farming registries have emerged as an important tool for the implementation of differentiated policies, but they are usually designed to identify beneficiaries and not to generate full statistics that allow for comprehensive diagnosis. On the other hand, agricultural censuses are another key source because they allow for in-depth characterization and analysis of the agricultural sector, facilitating the design and the evaluation of public policies, the monitoring of sectoral transformations, and evidence-based decision-making. However, most of the censuses in our region are outdated and so far lack specific strategies to identify family farmers. So to illustrate the relevance of having adequate and specific criteria to quantify family farming, we analyzed census data from 9 countries using 5 different identification strategies. 3 of them are limited to the area dimension, stemming from the fact that many times family farming and small-scale agriculture are used interchangeably. While the other 2 definitions address a broader set of elements associated with more holistic concepts, such as the definition of the United Nations Decade on Family Farming and the particular definitions from each of the analyzed countries. And the figure 3 that you can see behind me shows the results of this exploration and the share of family farming over the total number of farms in the vertical axis, and the area of the point represents the total area, the percentage of area in hands of the family farmers over the total agricultural area, according to each of these 5 definitions that I previously mentioned. And the results show big differences depending on the criteria used. For example, using only farm size as a mean to identify family farming tends to underestimate their participation both in the number of exploitations or agricultural units, as well as the share of land. Conversely, using FAOs or the national definitions show a much higher share of land in the hands of family farms. Another important finding is that family farming is not always small farming. According to the national definitions, 42% of family farms are under 2 hectares, but more than 15% have over 20 hectares. So this shows that the sector is not only small agriculture as it's usually understood, but it's very diverse, and this diversity is marked by different challenges and opportunities. At the same time, we can see that not all small farms are family farms, in fact, due to intensification of agriculture. So although the participation of family farming is greater in smaller size segments, for units under 2 hectares, only about 80% fall under family farming. And this percentage, of course, decreases as farm size segment increases. But this shows that size alone, as previously stated, is not enough to identify a farmer or farm as family farms. So we need more nuanced criteria. The analysis show also that family farming is has a crucial role for healthy diets. Globally, we are not producing enough fruits and vegetables to achieve the goals of healthy diets. And in fact, we are reaching about 25% of the global production needed. And moreover, to reduce obesity, which is a rising concern in our region, consumption of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and legumes must double. And the analysis shows that in 7 countries, family farming produces more than half of the area cultivated with vegetables, fruits, cereals, roots, and tubers, sometimes exceeding 80%. If we were to understand family farming as only as small farms of less than, let's say, 20 hectares, this contribution would be greatly underestimated, and it would amount to less than 20%. So if we want to highlight the role that family farming has in all these issues, we need to properly identify them. It is crucial that family farming receives the policy support to improve its productive capacities and access to markets. And the effectiveness of these interventions depends on specific mechanisms and instruments for identifying family farms. Based on our analysis of the agricultural censuses complemented with other reliable sources, we see that family farming continues to be the backbone of agriculture in Latin America and the Caribbean. It represents 17.8 million farms across the region and the vast majority of agricultural units. But in terms of land, family farming manages around 240 million hectares, or around 25% of the agricultural area. This is 1 in 4 hectares. So notice the imbalance. While family farming dominates in the number of farms, its share of land is much smaller. This contrast reflects the persistent concentration of land, especially in South America and Mesoamerica, but also the continued fragmentation, where small farms are becoming increasingly smaller and making it harder to achieve their potential. So the numbers tell us two things mainly, the essentiality of family farming in our region and how this inequality in land distribution continues to limit their potential. To close, I would like to underline 3 key takeaways. The first one is that definitions matter. Not only is there a value in recognizing, but also we need to identify family farmers properly if we want to support them achieve their potential. Using generic definitions, like only looking at farm size, can distort the picture. And the way that countries define family farming directly shapes their capacity to effectively measure, understand, and support the sector. The second takeaway is that diversity matters as well. As we see, family farming is not homogeneous. Farms vary widely in size, productivity, market access, and resources, and the policies must reflect this diversity or risk leaving many behind. usually the most vulnerable communities. And also that data matters. Without clear operational definitions, countries risk misidentifications, inaccurate diagnosis, and ultimately an efficient use of the resources. So better alignment between statistical systems and policy frameworks is essential to design effective evidence-based interventions. In other words, if we want policies that truly reach family farmers, especially the most vulnerable, we first need to know exactly who they are and how many they are. Only then can policies be truly inclusive and effective. And that is one of the core messages of this study, that beyond political will and fiscal resources, evidence and clarity are fundamental. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marinácia. It's a great work led by Marinácia, and our team is available. The paper will be available, the presentation, the methodology, and this kind of highlights, information matters for the decision, diversity matters when we are talking about public policies, and also these definitions still matters when we are discussing around family farm. So let me give the floor to Mrs. Rima El Hajar for her comments, perspectives. Again, the presentation was from Latin America and the Caribbean, but here what matters is this kind of exchange between regions. So you give it the floor.
Thank you, and I'm very happy to be with you today, just to talk about the situation and where we stand with family farming or farmers registry in general in Lebanon. Let me start with just giving a little bit information about agriculture landscape in Lebanon. So agriculture accounts for 6% of employment and about 9% of the country's GDP. This is by year 2020. However, about 30% of the population income is directly or indirectly supported by the agriculture sector. And 70% of farming households are small-scale farmers, and it's the same percentage as family farming. It's different, from the other countries, because in Lebanon we have very small holdings. So the average holding is 1.3 hectares. So this is why we are talking about small-scale farmers. And 75% of the farmers, they don't have any social protection. Why I am talking about this? Because since 2019, Lebanon is undergoing a very big economic crisis. In addition to the conflict and to the displacement ongoing in Lebanon since 2023 and 2024. So conflict has devastated agriculture infrastructure, displaced farmers, and destroyed crop and olive groves. And we have a big loss of incomes for farmers. Up to 60% of farmers have lost their income due to the displacement and bombing in the south of Lebanon. Talking about this came the importance of the farmers registry in Lebanon we started to establish, because as we said that, okay, 70% of the family farmings are farmers, but we don't have an official status of the farmer, because to recognize these farmers and to try to support them and to help them, and we need to have it's not a formal sector, and the farmers are not known. Who are the farmers? That's why it was very important to start to establish a farmer registry. And it was an opportunity for the family farming development and inclusive registration ensure that marginalized groups like women and youth will be also counted and supported. Till now, we have around 50,000 farmers already registered in Lebanon. This is a big achievement because it's like 30% of the farmers registered since 2 years till now, and thanks to FAO also because it was a project developed with the support of FAO. Why do farmers need to register, and family farmers also same for them? Then they will, as we said, that okay, they will gain official identification from the ministry and from the government in general. They will have the ability to access any agriculture assistance, seed, fertilizer, join also a unified platform for policy, aid, and research planning, become eligible for subsidies, training, which is most important for knowledge and learning, and also later on to benefit from social protection. The challenges facing family farmers, first of all, land fragmentation due to inheritance law in Lebanon, high input cost, since the economic crisis also it's increasing, and we have also low productivity, limited access to training and education for the farmers and for the family farmers. We have soil degradation, pollution, climate change, all this market instability and export barriers, labor shortage and refugee reliance under the actual context in Lebanon. So we have the workers are more from refugee are coming to Lebanon. And for sure, identify policies and share knowledge and integrated in our strategy for farmer registry development. But the opportunities for us are motivate small-scale farmers to register in the farmer registry, especially if we integrate the family farming registry into the farmer registry, but this is another story and needs to be developed. We need to work on it and needs more effort to be integrated. Shift to organic and sustainable farming, adoption of digital tools, smart agriculture, all this will support, use climate resilience crop, youth engagement through startups, strengthening cooperatives and local markets and farmer markets also locally in the regions, the different regions, invest in farmer education and vocational training, and integrate family farming registry within the administrative farmers registry established in Lebanon. As a conclusion, and as small-scale agriculture run by families passed down through generations, family farming is vital for rural livelihood and key to a national food security. Family farming is resilient, but under pressure, in general. With the right support, it can drive to rural development, economic recovery, food security, but need to be integrated, and we need to develop policies, and we will need maybe at the ministry or at the government level to have some support for the policy to be developed, for how to proceed, for the definitions, and how it could be integrated to have at starting as family farming registry to start with it. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rima, for the presentation. Yesterday, we talked exactly on this, no? What are the incentives to the farmers to go to registry, no? And here it's clear, no? Is the access to the rights, to policy tools, to social protection, to new possibilities to access markets. So thank you for the one hand for the exposition of how it works in Lebanon, and also for the commitment of your country with the agenda on the family farming. So Thank you so much. Let me give the floor to Mr. Aruna Lawem, de ROPA, de la Red de Organizaciones de Agricultores y Productores Agrícolas de África Occidental. You have the floor, Mr. Lawami.
Oui, merci beaucoup, monsieur le maître de cérémonie. C'est avec un grand plaisir que je prends la parole ce soir pour vous présenter ce pourquoi j'ai été pressenti. Il faut reconnaître que, en tant que paysan de souche, en tant que paysan issu de l'agriculture familiale, je suis pressenti pour présenter une approche innovante pour améliorer les politiques publiques en faveur des exploitations familiales agricoles. Le cas que je vais vous présenter ce soir, c'est un cas atypique qui se réalise actuellement au Bénin depuis 2017 à travers un projet intitulé PNASI, qui veut dire Programme national d'alimentation scolaire et intégrée. Il faut dire que le Bénin est un pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest qui est juste au milieu de deux autres pays, un grand et un petit. Le grand, c'est la République fédérale du Nigeria, et le petit, qui est le Togo. C'est 112 600 km² avec environ 13 millions d'habitants. Et dans ce pays, nous avons environ 2 500 000 d'écoliers du primaire. L'objet du PNASI, comme je le disais tantôt, c'est de fournir des repas scolaires aux écoliers en reliant les besoins alimentaires à tous ceux-là qui sont dans l'exploitation familiale à travers leurs productions, c'est-à-dire les productions agricoles, les vivres. Le PNASI a un effet direct. Parce que, contrairement à ce qui se faisait avant, depuis 1964, à travers ce que nous appelons les cantines scolaires, à travers les cantines scolaires, c'était le PAM qui amenait les vivres dans le pays, et c'est ça qu'on donnait aux enfants dans les écoles. Mais depuis 2017, il y a une approche innovante qui fait que les enfants ont commencé par se plaindre parce que entre ce que les enfants mangent à l'école et ce qu'ils mangent à la maison, ce n'est pas le même produit. Ce qui a amené les exploitations familiales agricoles, à travers les organisations, à faire un plaidoyer au niveau de l'État central pour demander pourquoi pas ne pas donner aux enfants des paysans les produits de leur exploitation. Ce qui a été accepté, et nous avons laissé tomber les produits qui viennent du programme alimentaire mondial au profit des produits qui sont issus des exploitations familiales agricoles. Ça a été vraiment un élan extraordinaire parce que de ce fait, tous les paysans qui sont dans l'environnement immédiat ont commencé par se retrouver intéressés par ce projet que j'appelais tantôt PNASI, à travers les produits locaux qui étaient vendus directement à ce projet. Je vais parler du maïs, du manioc, du niébé, de l'huile de palme, et tout ce que les enfants ont l'habitude de manger à la maison avant, c'est la même chose qu'on leur donne à l'école. La deuxième chose qu'on pourrait dire en termes d'effet direct, c'est qu'il y a la création du marché stable pour les petits producteurs. Les petits producteurs qui produisaient avant, qui à des moments donnés ne savent pas vraiment sur quel marché apporter les produits, ont maintenant un marché stable parce que l'État est prêt déjà à la plantation et sans aller à la récolte, déjà prendre le produit chez eux. L'autre chose qu'il faut reconnaître, c'est que le projet PNASI n'est pas seulement un projet éducatif. Parce que quand on parle de PNASI, les gens pensent que comme c'est lié à l'école, que c'est un projet éducatif. En réalité, ce n'est pas qu'un projet éducatif. C'est un projet qui a aussi une consonance sociale. Parce que c'est les jeunes, souvent, et les coopératives de femmes, souvent qui s'adonnent à l'agriculture, qui doit amener à mobiliser la plupart des produits qui sont servis dans ces cantines. Ce projet aussi est un projet intégrateur parce que ça intègre beaucoup de personnes. Il faut dire que par rapport à ce projet, il y a non seulement les agriculteurs qui sont là, il y a aussi les femmes qui s'occupent de la cuisine, il y a les transporteurs, il y a les élus locaux, il y a tout le monde, il y a même les coopératives des organisations de femmes et de jeunes aussi qui sont intégrées, sans occulter aussi les élus locaux qui participent aussi à ce même projet. Donc c'est un projet véritablement intégrateur qui prend en compte tout le monde au sein des villages où se trouvent implantées ces différentes écoles. Et le PNACI a un effet multiplicateur naturellement. L'effet multiplicateur par l'amélioration de la scolarisation. Parce qu'avant, quand il n'y avait pas encore PNACI, il y a beaucoup d'enfants qui ne voulaient pas aller à l'école parce que les parents n'ont pas les moyens pour leur donner à manger à partir de midi et le reste de la journée. Et avec l'arrivée et l'implémentation de ce projet, beaucoup d'enfants vont à l'école et ils restent. Donc ça permet le maintien des enfants à l'école. Beaucoup qui étaient en déperdition ne le sont plus parce qu'il y a cet attrait d'avoir tout au moins un repas chaud par jour et qui fait que effectivement, la plupart des enfants ont leur tête et restent effectivement à l'école. L'autre effet multiplicateur aussi, c'est l'augmentation des revenus des producteurs. Parce qu'à travers ce projet, les producteurs, à travers l'agriculture familiale, sont plus valorisés, ont plus de moyens, et ce qui fait effectivement le bonheur de ces petits agriculteurs qui commencent quand même par être valorisés par ce projet. L'autre chose aussi, non moins importante, c'est la valorisation des produits locaux. Certains produits locaux qui étaient tombés en désuétude avant ont repris plus de valeur à travers ce projet parce que quand vous produisez, vous êtes sûr effectivement que le produit sera racheté. Sur 3 millions environ d'élèves du primaire, d'écoliers que nous avons, il y a au moins 1 200 000 qui sont concernés par ce projet. Donc c'est un projet vraiment capital qui a changé complètement la scolarisation des enfants dans ce pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. PNACI est une innovation de gouvernance. C'est bel et bien une innovation de gouvernance qui montre comment une politique publique peut soutenir l'agriculture familiale. Ce n'est pas donné souvent, mais c'est pour la première fois au Bénin que nous avons vu une politique publique soutenir directement l'agriculture familiale sans passer par les détours. Parce que ici, par rapport au projet PNACI, c'est l'agriculture familiale qui est d'abord visée. Et aujourd'hui, les fruits sont là. Quand vous rentrez dans les communautés, vous voyez que la vie de certains agriculteurs, surtout les plus petits, et les femmes et des jeunes, leur vie a complètement changé. Donc, nous avons des effets et l'impact qui est visible et palpable. L'autre chose aussi qui est non moins important, c'est qu'il y a un agissement franc sur les enjeux sociaux. Les enjeux sociaux tels que l'éducation, la nutrition, l'équité genre, ça a permis de régler beaucoup de problèmes parce qu'il y avait des ponts qu'on n'arrivait vraiment pas à régler, mais avec ce projet, on a pu aplanir beaucoup de points d'hommes. De façon grosso modo, ce que nous pouvons retenir, c'est que le PNACI est un modèle d'inspiration pour repenser les politiques publiques de façon globale. Repenser les politiques publiques dans le secteur agricole autour de ce que j'appelle d'abord la contractualisation. Parce que, quoi qu'on dise aujourd'hui, on est d'accord comme on peut ne pas être d'accord, on est universitaire comme on est de l'exploitation familiale, l'avenir de l'agriculture sera l'agriculture contractuelle. Donc ce projet a permis de savoir qu'on peut commencer déjà de façon timide l'agriculture contractuelle à travers les communautés pour leur permettre effectivement de se mettre véritablement sur sellette. L'autre chose, c'est la question des marchés institutionnels. Avec le projet PNACI, nous avons fini par comprendre qu'effectivement, on doit nécessairement aller aujourd'hui aux marchés institutionnels. Marché institutionnel par rapport aux écoles, ce que nous sommes en train de faire par rapport à PNACI, c'est bon, mais il y a un effet d'entraînement aujourd'hui qui est en train de se produire, qui est que même dans les galeries, c'est-à-dire au niveau des prisons, et les galeries militaires, tout ça là, ce sont à partir de cet instant, de l'image que nous avons du projet PNACI, toutes ces institutions, même au niveau, comment on appelle ça, des centres universitaires, ce sont les produits de l'exploitation familiale qu'on a commencé par mobiliser pour effectivement alimenter tous ceux qui sont et dans ces instances-là. Donc, tout ce qui est public, où il y a une forte mobilisation des personnes, où on doit nécessairement les nourrir, il faut faire référence à l'agriculture familiale. Donc, c'est le projet Panacea qui a permis effectivement d'ouvrir les yeux pour savoir qu'au lieu de faire ça seulement pour les écoles, on peut alors implémenter ce dynamisme aux autres instances qui sont aussi institutionnelles. Et enfin, l'articulation qu'on devrait faire entre la protection sociale, parce que ici, c'est les femmes et les enfants qui travaillent, et c'est là où le social est plus aigu et où le répondant pour effectivement agir dans ce sens devrait se faire de façon vraiment claire et sans ambiguïté. Je pense que je vais m'en arrêter là, puisque moi, je n'avais pas un temps pour faire une présentation. On m'a juste dit de venir faire une étude de cas pour présenter un cas vraiment palpable où l'agriculture familiale a pu effectivement être impactée par une politique publique. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Aruna Lawani. Dois aspectos só para destacar isso. O primeiro, efetivamente, esse caso ilustra muito bem um dos principais instrumentos de política que tem efeitos comprovados na erradicação do hambre e da pobreza. É um dos tools que está dentro da cesta, da canasta de políticas da Aliança Global contra o hambre e a pobreza. É algo que há muita experiência. Exemplos como este nos ajudam a também avançar em uma perspectiva que traz à mesa, que é como se pode construir socialmente os mercados para a agricultura familiar. Os mercados não são esse Deus ex machina que aparece de la nada. Ou seja, há capacidade desde o Estado, desde distintos atores, de moldear mercados. E a estabilidade que os programas de alimentação escolar que compram da agricultura familiar oferecem, nos brinda aos agricultores familiares uma perspectiva também de planificação. Muitas vezes, uma porta de entrada é o mercado institucional, mas a partir disso, também podem acceder a novos mercados mais exigentes. Assim que, muitas graças, merci por vossa apresentação. Casos como este, podemos depois profundizar de forma virtual em las plataformas que nós outros temos. Podemos aí pensar, Guilherme, uma sessão específica sobre agricultura familiar e os programas de alimentação escolar, não? Porque creio que vários de nossos países estão forçando, indo por esse caminho como uma das perspectivas de trabalho para fortalecer a agricultura familiar e, à la vez, melhorar a alimentação de nossos ninhos, nossas ninhas, e, outra vez, valorizar o principal, que é a alimentação, como esse vínculo entre sociedade e natureza. Muitas graças. E passarei, então, à última, pero não menos importante, apresentação do vice-ministro Francisco Amegro. Francisco vem de Panamá, me mandou acá dar-te saludo grande, meu amigo Adoniran Sánchez, nosso representante allá. Francisco, graças por estar com nós outros e por compartilhar uma mirada desde de Centroamérica, desde Panamá. Adelante.
Muchas gracias. Adoniram es definitivamente un gran amigo que coopera mucho con nuestro país. Excelentísimos señores embajadores, delegados y representantes de organizaciones no gubernamentales y, por supuesto, productores agropecuarios, productores de la industria familiar que se encuentran aquí con nosotros. En un momento donde el mundo post-COVID ha entendido que hablar de seguridad alimentaria es hablar de seguridad nacional, es un honor representar a Panamá en este foro global de soluciones para la agricultura familiar, donde la construcción de soluciones inclusivas y sostenibles toman forma para fortalecer a nuestros países que hoy apuestan por digitalizar el campo, fortalecer la agricultura familiar y promover prácticas climáticamente sostenibles. En Panamá tenemos una visión clara. La agricultura familiar es el corazón de nuestro sector. Son las familias productoras las que garantizan la seguridad alimentaria del país y sostienen nuestras tradiciones rurales, que no solo abastecen el consumo local, sino que también representan un potencial para llevar alimentos panameños a mercados internacionales.
Los datos de nuestro octavo censo agropecuario del 2024 confirman la relevancia de este sector. Más de 227.000 familias de agricultores activos que cultivan más de 172.000 hectáreas a lo largo del territorio nacional, donde más de 104.000 mujeres se dedican a la agricultura familiar. Tenemos un marco legal robusto que incluye la Ley de Agricultura Familiar y hemos creado un fondo especial para el desarrollo de la agricultura familiar, diseñado para apoyar las inversiones productivas con especial énfasis en las mujeres y en los jóvenes rurales. Pero hoy enfrentamos un reto que no podemos ignorar: el relevo generacional. La edad promedio de nuestros productores supera los 60 años y continúa envejeciendo. Si no realizamos una apuesta fuerte e inmediata para atraer a la juventud, corremos el riesgo de comprometer nuestra seguridad alimentaria futura. La juventud de hoy no se siente atraída por la agricultura tradicional porque está asociada con sacrificio y baja rentabilidad. Sin embargo, hemos detectado que la tecnología y la genética, antes considerada un lujo, hoy son la única vía para garantizar un agro que incluya a los jóvenes. Pero esta tecnología debe ser sostenible. Nuestro gobierno está apostando fuertemente por la implementación de tecnologías para servir a los productores de la agricultura familiar. Hemos creado la Oficina del Sistema de Información Geoespacial Agropecuaria, que actúa como nuestra brújula tecnológica, integrando datos geoespaciales sobre suelos, clima y agua, facilitando la planificación y la prevención ante el cambio climático. Hemos creado el Sistema de Información Geográfica Agropecuaria, que es la base de datos digital para tomar decisiones informadas y brindar información oportuna a todos nuestros productores. Hemos creado el proyecto PIASI, el Programa de Innovación en Agricultura Sostenible e Incluyente, financiado por el BID, que se ejecuta en 21 distritos vulnerables con el objetivo de fortalecer precisamente la agricultura familiar, mejorando su rentabilidad, sostenibilidad y resiliencia, promoviendo el cooperativismo comunitario. Y estamos por modernizar el Instituto Nacional Agropecuario, un bachiller agropecuario que hoy, gracias a una nueva ley, le otorga autonomía para crear unidades de agronegocios y ser realmente sostenibles. Con este enfoque, los estudiantes pasarán de la producción en el campo a la transformación agroindustrial y luego a la administración de la empresa agropecuaria. Nuestro enfoque es tecnológico y joven. Hay que enamorar a la nueva generación con la tierra. Esta reingeniería de la educación es fundamental para que los jóvenes puedan acceder a programas de financiamiento especializados como Mi Primer Crédito Agropecuario, dirigido a jóvenes de hasta 25 años de edad egresados de bachilleres agropecuarios. En este mismo espíritu de inclusión y transformación territorial, presentamos una propuesta de proyecto estratégico, Agrocomunidad, un plan nacional actualmente en fase de borrador que busca reducir el hambre y fortalecer la seguridad alimentaria. Es un modelo basado en una alianza público-privada comunitaria que articula esfuerzos entre organizaciones civiles y comunitarias, como patronatos, clubes cívicos y el Comité Ecuménico, que es una organización en la que participan todas las iglesias. Panamá es un país rico en diversidad cultural. Del mismo modo, somos respetuosos de la diversidad religiosa. Por ello, este comité aporta un componente fundamental de valores y cultura al proyecto enfocado en las familias del campo. Colegas, el agro del mañana no puede ser igual al agro de ayer. Estamos en un momento de gran complejidad, donde los retos del clima, la competencia global y las dinámicas socioeconómicas nos obligan a ser más eficientes. En Panamá tenemos claro que la cadena de producción de alimentos requiere una visión integral. Debemos entender cada etapa, el productor, el industrial, el comercio y, por supuesto, el consumidor, y cómo los factores internacionales y nacionales afectan los patrones de consumo. Es esencial que las decisiones agropecuarias reduzcan los impactos negativos en los extremos de las cadenas de producción de alimentos, el productor y el consumidor. Nuestra propuesta a este foro, en espíritu de cooperación, es que unifiquemos y modernicemos nuestros sistemas de información agropecuaria. En muchos de nuestros países los registros están dispersos y fragmentados, lo que obstaculiza la planificación eficiente y la ejecución de la política pública. La creación de una plataforma nacional integrada de datos agrícolas donde todos aporten y extraigan información de manera centralizada es la única manera de fortalecer la asistencia técnica y garantizar la sostenibilidad y replicabilidad de nuestras buenas prácticas. Es imperativo conocer qué se produce, cómo, cuándo y dónde, porque lo que no se mide no se puede mejorar. Este es un desafío institucional que requiere el apoyo de organismos internacionales como FAO para acompañar a los Estados miembros en la identificación de duplicidades y la promoción de sinergias entre los múltiples programas públicos y privados que corren en paralelo. Para concluir, el agro no es solo del productor ni solo del Estado. Es un compromiso compartido entre quienes producen, quienes transforman, quienes comercializan y quienes consumen. Panamá reafirma su compromiso con una agricultura familiar y que sea la base de un desarrollo rural justo, sostenible e inclusivo. En nombre del presidente José Raúl Molino, agradezco a la FAO y a todos ustedes por su atención y a la valiosa oportunidad de compartir nuestra experiencia y nuestros proyectos actuales y futuros para que sigamos trabajando juntos. Muchas gracias y, por cierto, también soy productor agropecuario familiar y cuarta generación de productor agropecuario. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Francisco. Muchas gracias por reafirmar também acá em público o compromisso de Panamá com a renda de agricultura familiar. De nosso lado, reafirmamos também o compromisso em apoiar os países a avançarem nessa renda de modernização responsável, sustentável, incluyente do setor. Há tema muito importante acá que também é de reduzir os riscos. Informação de qualidade disponível, sólida, nos ajuda também em las políticas públicas a reduzir os riscos que essa atividade econômica tem e riscos que são cada vez mais amplios no mundo que estamos vivendo. Bueno, chegamos ao final das apresentações. Eu, la verdad que estou surpreendido porque estuvimos desde as 9:30 da manhã acá, discutindo com muita profundidade, com muita atenção, as apresentações e também os comentários de vocês foram muito precisos, muito profundos. Eu, o que les vou proponer é o seguinte, porque também já se me vão os intérpretes em alguns minutos. Eu vou proponer que cerremos a sessão acá, que cada um de vocês lleve suas perguntas, seus comentários a la recepção que vamos ter agora no 8º piso, que encontrem alguma pessoa com as quais nunca han conversado e na recepção converse com elas, especialmente de outras regiões, e que aproveitemos esse espaço de confraternização para profundizar pouco mais a partir das excelentes apresentações de Rima, de Marinácia, de Francisco e de Aruna, e de lo que vimos durante esse dia acá. E amanhã, a partir das conversações que tenhamos, retomamos a atividade e profundizamos entre todos os próximos passos dessa sessão. Les parece? Então, les pido também último aplauso a los colegas e nos vamos a la recepção. Es en el 8th floor, en el 8º piso, en el Russian Lounge. Os colegas acá podem acompanhar os que estamos e aí seguimos conversando na recepção.